We are here with another awesome mom that we get to interview. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about art and self-care. And I am so excited to hear more about this because I feel like that is such a hard topic for moms. It's hard to take care of yourself when you're taking care of kids and everybody else around. So this is Amber Fife, and she is an online watercolor instructor who helps worn out women regain their sparkle. That sounds amazing. By making time for creative care. With degrees in math and art, Amber found photography to be the marriage of the two since 2001. To deal with decades-long anxiety, Amber's healing began in 2016 as she returned to her artistic roots and made time to physically create on a regular basis. Finding so much success in her own life, Amber began Women Create Weekly in 2018, a blog and online membership to help women find themselves again through watercolor painting. Living on 4 acres in South Jersey woods with her 4 kids and professor husband and a variety of farm animals, Amber finds time for creativity amidst homeschooling, graphic designing, photographing, and all the other demands of life. You sound like a busy woman, Amber.
I sure am.
And I bet you love it. Do you like it?
I do. I'm energized when I stay busy, so it's good.
So good. Well, it sounds like you have a lot to be busy with, that's for sure. So let's dive right in. We're wondering, how do art and self-care work together? Walk us down that road.
I think they go hand in hand. Both of them say to yourself that you matter and your inspirations matter, your heart desires matter, and your well-being matters. And it's when you kind of tune into yourself and like your life beat to figure out what lifts you up, what lights you up, what just makes you, that then the choices are easy to make after that, once you figure out who you are. And so there's self-care, very basics, making sure you're sleeping enough and fueling your body, and the stuff that we sacrifice sometimes when we've had a long day. We scroll Facebook for an hour in bed and then we are tired the next morning. I mean, that's what I do. I try not to do, but that's what I struggle with.
Guilty of that.
Exactly. And so just the bare basics, making sure that those are there. But then after that, filling the creative side of yourself. It's really easy to overlook self-care because it doesn't feed your kids, it doesn't balance your checkbook, it doesn't do all the necessary to-dos, and so it's easy to react to life's challenges and forget about your creativity. I love the sentiment, I believe it was Brené Brown's, when people say, I don't have a creative bone in my body. For some previous, life's interaction that told them that they weren't good at art. She said that if you replace that word with curious, you don't have a curious bone in your body. Well, of course you do. It's like, what about this? And it's, being curious about life. So I would say that when you make time to tell yourself you're important, when you set that time aside in your schedule, whatever that is, you show up better in all other aspects of your life. And so sometimes self-care might be very simple, small things. But as you do a little bit of art and don't expect a lot from yourself, you just show up to create, that just fires your brain in a different way so that you can handle the kids fighting and the chores that never end and everything else. So I think it's a good foundation.
That's really interesting. Like, I find it therapeutic just to color with my daughter with the coloring book. I'm like, I forgot, this is really fun. Even maybe something as simple as coloring, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned all these different kinds of self-care, art specifically. What do you feel like, what is so therapeutic about art that you love?
I think physiologically, your breath slows, your breathing evens out, your heart relaxes, your heart relaxes, your rate goes down, whatever the technical term for that would be. You physically change when you start to set, and your fight and flight hormones decrease. And this, I'm an anxiety holder for lots of time that I've worked hard to work on. But a lot of the day it's like, oh, this sibling's fighting and I have this and this has to get done. And I didn't think of this and this. And like, that's what we're holding all day long. And so when we take a minute to create, even if that's, buying a coloring book and coloring that, even if it's drawing just shapes or following a YouTube tutorial or whatever that is, when we take that time, we release that, we let go of some of that tension, and if physically we relax. It's almost like meditation. It could be viewed as a form of meditation if you have some repetitive actions that you're doing. So does that answer your question?
Yes, I love that. I wanted to know that physical change. That's amazing. That sounds like what I need. Just slow down and just let your body feel and be. So where do you find the time? That's the question. I think that's the biggest thing for me is like, by the time I get up, exercise, get the kids off to school, and then have to still have kids at home, and you're homeschooling, so you're still busy at home. How do you set aside that time, and how do you make that a priority for your day?
I think let me talk in general, and then if you have more questions about my life specifically. In general, there's kind of two approaches you can take. One is through stolen moments, when your kids are watching a show or when they're playing outside the trampoline for 15, 20 minutes at a time and getting those little pockets of time. So that's one approach of getting those little pieces throughout the day. And another approach would be scheduling yourself to have that time blocked out, protected from any other factors. Julia Cameron in The Artist's Way, it's a really good book. And she talks about creating artist dates. So you make a date with yourself to do something, just feed your creativity, and you schedule it in and you show up for that. And you don't say, well, I have to get laundry done, or whatever. And you schedule that and you protect that time. And what's really interesting is that I did that. There was right after we moved here a couple years ago, there was a cupcake making class at the library. And my mom's made cakes since she was 14, and I know how to frost stuff, but I was like, that sounds fun. And let's see what she has to teach me. And I'm not like a cake maker, but I know my way with a frosting bag. So I come to this class and we're all on these different tables, and I helped my table mates to do stuff because she was one person with a bunch of people, and we had a fun time. And I had a really good time, and I had yummy stuff to bring home to my family to eat together. And it was really cool. And on the drive home, this thought came into my head and it said, you don't deserve this.
Oh.
And it's so interesting that after we have some kind of experience, that subconsciously sometimes we bring ourselves back down from that. So if we do something, we're like, well, this doesn't look good, or who am I going to show this to?
Right.
And those self-defeating thoughts are involuntary. And if we only show up, like if we do a paint party, like a paint girls night, with friends and do that, everybody paints the same thing kind of thing. If you do that once in 5 years, and that's your like it for creativity and trying to explore that side of yourself,
it's probably not enough time.
It's not a part of your life. It's a good experience, but it's not like feeding your soul. Yes. And so that's one of the things that I talk about in my membership, is just showing up in little ways on a regular basis. It's just little consistencies that make the biggest difference, and recognizing to not be afraid of the page, and to know that it's just a piece of paper and you can always throw it away. And so like just getting some of that intimidation across. And I think I've totally diverged. We were talking about finding time as a mom. So we moved here 4.5 years ago, and I've been a photographer, and I had never taken a break. I tried taking a break for a month, like 3 years in a row. So over a decade, I had never taken a break from the stress of running a photography business. And so moving here physically away from my clients was the only thing to get me to step back. And it was a big shift to deal with that dynamic. And I found I had to, number one, ask my spouse to reserve some time for me so I could do some creating, and also to bring some of my kids along, to let them see me creating, because my oldest never saw me doing art. He saw me with a camera, But he never saw me doing art. Whereas my daughter, she's 5, she's seen me do art her whole life.
Yeah.
And so she'll just pull out this thing and print and paint and color, and like it's no big deal. Whereas the other kids, it was like there was expectations. And so for me, I like to have some morning time. So ask my husband to help the kids in the morning. So I have a little pocket in the morning, and then we switch off who puts the kids to bed at night, and finding some of those stolen moments.
Just making it a priority for you. Yeah. Just for your brain and everything else, whether it's, I mean, mine, I feel like is exercise. I have to put that time in there. Otherwise I go crazy. Exactly. Maybe I need to add art too. That sounds like something very beneficial. Thank you so much, Amber. You've given so many good little nuggets that I've needed today. And we're excited to have you on here, and we're so thankful for everything you've shared. Thank you.